My 17-year-old son and I have thoroughly enjoyed restoring his '68 Mustang, and when we got it over a year ago, I had the cheapest tools, and when we started using my cheap ratchets on that nice car, I busted through 2 of them the first month. Why? I think I'd spent about $3 on them. And so I don't know why I was surprised that they broke when I started doing real work with them. And our kids are not a lot different. We got to make sure we know their limits and not push them past it. So today on Potty Break, we're going to talk about how not to push your kids past their limits.
The biggest part of what we have to do to begin with is really understanding our kids' limits. There was a time when one of our children just couldn't handle being in the store. In fact, one day, I really knew that I shouldn't go in the store, but I really had to get something, so I went in as quickly as I could, and I had gotten all the way through the checkout line, and I was so excited. I mean, I swiped that card, and I grabbed that receipt, and I made the mistake of saying, okay, kids, we've got to hurry up. And so my son ended up throwing himself on the ground. It was right where everybody had to walk past. You know, my first thing was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is where I'm going to absolutely lose it, and everybody's going to have their cameras out, taping my demise. But I held it together. But afterwards I realized, you know, I really had pushed him past his limits.
How do you know your kids' limits? Well, as parents, you have to be students of your kids. So here's what I'm going to recommend. Keep a log, even if it's just in your mind or on your phone. Keep a log of the meltdown moments, the frustration moments. And I want you to say, what was going on? How long were we in Walmart? What was the trigger moment? How long were we at that holiday party? How many days were we on vacation? And you're going to begin to see these patterns. Wise parents will start to say, you know what, I've noticed that after 3 days of vacation, they're done. So they don't plan 7-day vacations. Or maybe that means you plan vacations at cabins rather than at Disneyland. And sometimes they'll look and they'll say, well, I just noticed that it seems like about 15 minutes of a really stimulating environment is all they can handle that. Don't take them into a store longer than 15 minutes. Holiday shopping in stores with kids. Oh my gosh. Amazon is your friend. And as parents, we just can't fall into this trap of thinking, but they're old enough to handle that. Their brother could do this at this age. I was doing this at this age. This was not how I was raised. Remember, complex trauma and these traumatic events affect their brains, and they truly are not capable, as other kids their age, of handling these things, which is why you need to know their limits. And here's what we want to do. We want to keep them on the bleeding edge of those limits, but not push them past. We need to teach them to deal with their frustration. We don't want these to be their limitations forever. Just be accepting of the fact that they are their limitations today, and knowing that in 5 years and in 10 years, it's going to be better. We hope.
I think the more that we're able to accept our kids' limits and just know that that is what they can handle, it also takes the pressure off of us, because a lot of times we feel like we have to make them do this thing. And I know there were times that I felt a little bit of resentment toward that child. The more that I understood that they just couldn't handle it, and it was a matter of skill, not a matter of will and them trying to be obstinate. We have a little bit more to talk about on how to help our kids through the holidays. We're looking forward to seeing you then.
Until then, don't forget to flush.
Don't forget to wash your hands.